A portion of this video is sponsored by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
It's an energy drink company that sponsors skateboarding, breakdancing, diving, airplane racing, rally racing, hockey racing, soapbox derby racing, plus a million other types of racing and general goofy stuff. Ow! Oh yeah, and they also have a really, really good F1 team. How did an Austrian company turn Thai energy goo into a multi-billion-dollar sports juggernaut and build some of the best racing teams that the world has ever seen? Well, flat up the brim of your hat, get some goo, put on your wings, because today we're going racing.
James, shouldn't you finish the intro?
You don't tell me what to do! I tell you what to do! This is everything you need to know to get up to speed on Red Bull!
Thank you to NHTSA for sponsoring this portion of this video.
Hi, I'm Jeremiah Burton. You might know me from shows like Tool Party and Bumper to Bumper, or playing YouTube's favorite uncle, Uncle Jerry. While we all love to make you laugh and smile, today, the boys and I would like to talk to you about something serious.
Seatbelts.
From May 23rd to June 5th, state and local law enforcement across the country will be raising awareness about the importance of wearing one of these bad boys.
Now hold on, I saw you roll your eyes. I get it, you're a cool kid, but you know what else is cool? Buckling up. It doesn't just save you money and tickets, it can also save your life.
That's right, Nolan. Wearing your seatbelt is not just about you. Every fatality from not wearing one impacts many others, including your loved ones.
So do your part, and every time you go for a drive, day or night, buckle up, and just remember,
Click it, don't risk it.
To learn more, check out
NHTSA.gov.
or click the link in the description below. Thank you to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration for sponsoring that portion of this video. Stay alive, guys. We love you.
Before there was Red Bull WRC, before there was hockey racing, before there was soapbox, Red Bull was an unknown drink that helped day laborers in Thailand stay awake. All the way back in 1974, Thai businessman Chaleo Yuvidia, he came up with a viscous concoction of sugar, water, caffeine, taurine, B12, and some other crap and called it Krating Dang. That literally translates to Red Bull. The packaging featured two Red Bulls clashing in front of a yellow sun, as it still does today. Thailand was rapidly industrializing, which is a nice way of saying that blue-collar people were being worked to death. So Krating Dang became very popular with these working-class people. Working when you're exhausted is dangerous, and if you can stay awake on the job, then you won't fall asleep and bang your little finger with a hammy. Krating Dang also started sponsoring Thai kickboxing matches, and Red Bull became ubiquitous with the sport. Cut to 1984. It's been 10 years since Chaleo started his business. Workers all over Thailand rely on Krating Dang to stay alert on the clock, but outside of Thailand, nobody really knows about the taurine super drink. And that's when this Austrian toothpaste guy named Dietrich Mateschitz comes into the picture. He worked for a toothpaste company called Blendax. And when he was visiting Thailand for business, it actually was for business, but it's funnier when it's in quotes. So there's this Austrian guy flying into Thailand, which is like a 12-hour flight with no layover. And he shows up jet lagged as hell, and he's supposed to go sell toothpaste. And he's like, I sell toothpaste? I can't even think about toothpaste. I gotta go to sleep. And they're like, no, man. The meeting's in 15 minutes. And he's like, oh crap, I'm still on Austria time. And they're like, dude, we'll get on Thailand time. And he's like, I'm doing my best here. I'm doing my best. Long story short, the dude sucks down some of this Thai energy goo, and suddenly his jet lag is gone. Now he can lube up all the business he has to do in Thailand. No nap required. A light bulb went off in Dietrich's head, and he thought to himself, the world needs to know about this goo. So Dietrich and Chaleo partnered together, and over the next few years, they formulated the drink to fit European tastes. Europeans don't love goo. They made it less sweet, and they added carbonation. Red Bull used to be sweeter. In 1987, Red Bull GmbH was formed, and the partners took their drink global. The key to Red Bull's success early on was marketing to young professionals and college students. So they would show up at a college campus and hand out free cans of Red Bull. It immediately caught on. Pledges and frosh, seniors and upperclassmen, sorority chairs, and extracurricular boys. I didn't go to college, I don't know who goes there. But all of them were chugging bulls alongside of each other in the quad during rush week, hacky sacking their little hearts out. Mateschitz wanted the worlds of extreme sports and racing to join forces, so that's where Red Bull set their sights on next. The very first athlete that Red Bull sponsored all the way back in 1989 was F1 driver and fellow Austrian Gerhard Berger. But this wasn't the circuit-dominating team that we associate with Red Bull today. The Ferrari driver had 11 DNFs in one season, but the races that Berger did finish were true flame-grilled double whoppers. He took second twice and won once. Not ideal, but also not the worst. He got like 7. He only finished 3 races. That's amazing. We should do a whole episode on that. He was the perfect entree into the world of F1 sponsorship. Now, it would be a few years before Red Bull charged headfirst into racing, but the groundwork was laid. For now, they could focus on a new fad that would go on to become a multi-billion-dollar industry. Extreme sports and crazy stunts were huge in the 90s. It was basically just like, hey, do you like guys jumping out of planes? Cool, let's put that in a Pepsi commercial. Hey, you know luge on ice? What if that was on the street? You remember Biker Sherlock? He's freaking street luger.
One more.
Remember street luging? One of the first competitions Red Bull organized was the Flugtag in Vienna in 1992. Contestants with homemade gliders chucked themselves off the top of a platform about 30 feet high and tried to send their contraptions further than anyone else. So, homemade planes. It was a smash hit, pun absolutely intended. The energy drink was a perfect fit for such an insane and, stupid competition. From there, it only made sense to keep going. So keep going they did. Over the years, Red Bull would sponsor events like soapbox derby racing for grown-ups, cliff diving, one of the best skate teams to ever exist, freaking double dutch for grown-ups, and downhill hockey racing, which is insanely dangerous, and I'm super happy that it exists. Look at this shit. But none of these things are cars. So unfortunately, we're going to... Cut to 1995, Dietrich Mateschitz is living well off of his liquid speed, and he decides to go all in on racing. Red Bull signs a 10-year deal as the title sponsor of the less than stellar Sauber F1 team. The Ford Zetec V8 powered Sauber, piloted by drivers Heinz Harald Frentzen and Jean-Christophe Beaulieu. They battled through the 1995 season and came out with a pretty decent midfield finish. Heinz took 9th place in the Drivers' Championship, and the team took 7th overall in the Constructors' Championship, which was a record finish for them. I mean, that's honestly like pretty good. The inaugural F1 season for Red Bull was a success, but the lackluster Ford engines and young team just couldn't cut the Dusseldorf. That's a must. Red Bull didn't join F1 to be the 7th best team. They joined to be the best team, or at least the 2nd best team. Now, even though it would be a while before they were good, the desire to win burned within. Like when you drink too many Red Bulls. In 1997, Red Bull got involved with the Jackie Stewart Grand Prix team backed by Ford. After a few unsuccessful years, they sold it to Ford, who rebranded it as the Jaguar F1 team. Together, they raced until 2004 when Ford said that they could no longer make a compelling business case for any of its brands to compete in F1. So Ford was out, and they sold the whole shebang to Red Bull. Finally, Mateschitz and Red Bull had their very own team for the 2005 Formula One season. Instead of being relegated to just a title sponsorship, they full-on owned the team. They could do whatever they wanted and, oh, hold on. Dude, you're so high up there, dude. Dude, you are so high up there, dude. You are not gonna do a flip. Oh, gainer! That's a front backwards flip, dude! Oh, like dropping a pedal, clean splash, bro. Dang. Sorry, that was awesome. Manischit's first order of business was to get the original dude, the first Red Bull sponsored athlete, Gerhard Berger, to be team principal. And of course, as soon as he was asked, Berger wholeheartedly said no. So, they went with their second choice, a relatively unknown retired Formula 3000 driver and Spice Girls fanboy by the name of Christian Horner. He became team principal at the age of 32, making him the youngest ever in F1 to head a team.
Well, it's an exciting development for Red Bull Racing.
It's like the Donald Glover of F1. Red Bull Racing, or RBR, used a Cosworth engine and chassis because that's what Jaguar used. And it cut a lot of costs to just keep using the same equipment. They signed phenom David Coulthard and Christian Klein as their drivers that year, and they were off to the races. Whee! Their first season in Formula One, RBR Cosworth placed 7th in the Constructors' Championship. Not bad for a new team, especially considering Horner only had 8 weeks of lead time before the first Grand Prix of the season in Australia, but they knew that they could do better. In 2006, they switched from Cosworth power units to Ferrari ones. Pretty much the same result. Next year, they went with Renault engines and signed Mark Webber. They saw a slight improvement, ending the 2007 season in 5th place in the Constructors, which is a great midfield finish. That is nothing to sneeze at. Don't sneeze at it. The biggest improvement for the team came in 2009 when they promoted junior driver Sebastian Vettel from their Scuderia Toro Rosso, the junior team Red Bull used to test new prospects. Seb had placed higher in his Toro Rosso car than either driver on Red Bull's primary team did the year earlier, and it was apparent that he had what we in the racing industry call the goods. Vettel finished 2nd in the Drivers' Championship that year, just behind Jenson Button, and David Coulthard finished 4th, just ahead of Lewis Hamilton. You ever heard of him? Who had won the year before. Even more impressive was that Red Bull was able to take 2nd place in the Manufacturers' Championship, a feat that can only be pulled off if the overall team is functioning at an extremely high level. These were the kind of results that Red Bull had in mind when they entered Formula One, and they achieved it the same way that they succeeded in the energy goo business, by taking chances on young, performance-minded people like Seb and Horner. In just a few short years, Red Bull had gone from a team that didn't exist to a so-so team that was lost in the midfield to a serious contender for both championships. Over the next few years of F1, Red Bull would be unstoppable. From 2010 to 2013, Vettel and the Red Bull team won 4 Drivers' Championships and 4 Constructors' Championships, all in a row. Now let's put that into perspective. This is the most difficult and prominent racing series to ever exist in the history of the entire world, maybe second only to chariot racing in ancient Rome. Red Bull was a team that didn't exist less than a decade earlier. And at this time, they're already dominating this sport. And they were doing it with young and relatively inexperienced people. How insane is that? That's like if Mug Root Beer bought an NBA team, signed a middle school guy, and Air Bud, and they won the NBA championship. It's not a perfect comparison, but you get it. When they weren't busy winning in Formula One, Red Bull was dabbling in other types of motorsport. They've sponsored a NASCAR team, a World Rally Championship team, Brazilian stock car racing as Team Caca Bueno, Australian supercar racing, which is the coolest type of racing, best looking cars, as well as a ton of superbike racing and dirt bikes too. And guess what? Their teams win. A lot. I'll go ahead and go out on a limb and say quite a bit. They're pretty much good at everything that they sponsor, but for the purpose of this video, we're gonna go back to what most of us came here for. Red Bull's recent Formula One championship victory and their bittersweet rivalry with Mercedes. Every great protagonist needs an antagonist to push them to the next level. Now, whether or not you consider Red Bull the hero or the villain, or Mercedes the hero or the villain in this situation, that's up to you. No judgment. I could see it go in either way. The last 6 years of Formula One have seen some of the best battles ever witnessed. And when I say best battles ever witnessed, I mean complete and utter domination by Mercedes-AMG Petronas. Since the sport made the switch to the hybrid 6-cylinder engines back in 2014, Mercedes has had the edge, which has been a thorn in the side of Christian Horner, the Red Bull team, and specifically a little man I like to call Mr. Max Verstappen. Max grew up through the Red Bull Junior Racing program and was groomed, in a good way, to be a world champion ever since his dad, 90s F1 star Jos Verstappen, plopped him in a cart as a wee little lad. His full throttle, elbows out driving style makes him one of the best drivers to ever exist, but it also paints a big target on his back. He'll literally do anything and everything to win. But his attitude fits in line perfectly with Horner's method of leading the team. Do whatever it takes to win, and do whatever they do. Between 2016 and 2020, a period of total Mercedes domination, Max and the Red Bull team consistently placed higher and higher in the rankings, making it 100% clear they weren't gonna settle for anything less than first place. Max's attitude, and I'm gonna say it, straight up brattiness, even drove away valued teammates. And Horner prioritized Max's feelings because he needed to keep his #1 happy, and for good reason. In 2021, after a hectic and violent F1 season, Verstappen and Hamilton were tied in points going into the last race of the season at Yas Marina Circuit in Abu Dhabi. Tensions were at an all-time high. Verstappen narrowly edged out Hamilton in qualifying to take pole. The cars lined up, the lights went out, the race started, everyone held their breath, and Lewis Hamilton handily led for most of the race. It looked like he was gonna finally break Schumacher's record with an astonishing 8th Drivers' Championship. So that's why it sucks so bad the way that the race ended. In the closing laps, Williams driver Nicholas Latifi spun out and crashed into a wall. Thanks, Nick, which triggered a safety car. And now in most situations with few laps left, the race would have ended under caution, but race director Michael Masi made a couple of iffy decisions that would make the ending of this race extremely controversial. When the safety car comes out, drivers follow at a reduced speed in the order that they were during the race until the green flag comes out again, right? Red Bull, who had nothing to lose at this point in the race, chose to pit and put Max on fresh tires. It was a gamble, but that's what Red Bull is all about, taking chances. They're a drink that has an F1 team. It just makes sense. Mercedes, who's more buttoned up and German, less of a risk-taking team, did not pit because they trusted that the race would end. And in most other situations, it would have. Only this wasn't most other situations. What happened next was so divisive, it's still being argued about. Since Lewis had lapped the slowest cars, Masi allowed those cars, AKA back markers, to pass Lewis and come around the back of the pack so as not to impede the real race. Suddenly, those cars that would have slowed Max down were gone. Max has fresh tires, and now he's right behind Lewis, and there's one lap left. I cannot stress to you how much a difference fresh tires makes. A lot, like the most difference. So the safety car dipped off into the pits, and the final lap of the 2021 season commenced. Lewis was able to hold Max off for a few turns, but the new tires with all that sticky grip were too much, and Max passed Lewis as half of the stadium erupted into cheers. Verstappen crossed the finish line and snagged his first ever Drivers' Championship. It was a huge moment for the Red Bull team and Horner, who had been dreaming of this redemption for nearly a decade. The drivers fought tooth and nail the entire season, and their hard work paid off. It just sucks how they won. Like, how do you feel good after that? I mean, I'm sure I know how you would feel good. That would feel good. It was so controversial that race director Michael Masi was fired soon after, but you know what? It's entertainment, baby! And Masi engineered one of the most entertaining final laps of the TV era, baby! Say what you want to say about Red Bull, but if there's one takeaway from this story, it's that when you... Oh, hold on. Oh, dude. So fast. Dude, they got knives on their feet, dude. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and everything else on Donut Media. Hit that subscribe button and that bell to make sure you don't miss anything. Go to donutmedia.com. We're dropping a new item like every week. I love you.